Gray divorce. Have you heard that term? I've been hearing a lot of it lately, and apparently it's what they labeled seniors who go through a divorce. It seems like those in their 50s, divorce rates have doubled, and those 65 have tripled. So it's an epidemic among senior citizens. And you have to ask why. Why is that happening? Hello, friends. I'm Rose, and this is my channel, Retirement Recharged. We talk about all things retirement, living in an adult, active community, just being retired in general, travel, things that we can do to make our life happier, just all things retired. So thank you for joining me today. I wanted to talk about gray divorce because it seems like it's really affecting a lot of couples once they retire. I myself, I've been married 20 years now. 10 years of that we worked, and 10 years we've been retired. And it's different. It's a different life. When you worked, you had your own identity, whatever your job title was, whatever company you worked for. But once you're retired, you no longer have that identity. Your new identity is typically as a couple or a solo if you're by yourself. But for us, we are just a retired couple now. We don't have that individual identity that we had before. So we had to figure out who we were now. And that can put a real strain on a marriage or couples in general. And I think it's important to recognize why we're feeling that way and what we can do about it. Now, I can only speak for myself. I'm not a trained professional. I don't claim to be. But as someone who's been married, 10 years retired, 10 years into their retirement, I can tell you, just share with you what I've experienced, what my spouse and I are going through. And retirement is a big change on your relationship. It's a huge shift. And we found that we were spending 24/7 together, all of our time. Before, we would work and come home and share that little bit of time where we had dinner. And on the weekends, we ran errands. We enjoyed each other's company while we ran errands. But we found that since we're retired and we're together 24/7, you kind of run out of things to talk about. And two, because you're together all day. And two, you kind of notice things that may irritate you more about your partner more than they did before because you're with them all the time. And first of all, I like to say, pardon my voice. I'm getting over a cold. So I've been struggling with this cold for 10 days now. So I wanted to get back to recording. So please excuse my voice. But one of the things that we realized is that we needed to find our own identity again, separate from being just a couple. And living in an active adult community, it made it easier for us to do that. For example, my spouse enjoys playing cards, and they will play cards 3-4 times a week with a different group of people. Cards from, euchre to poker to something called hand and foot. And although I enjoy playing cards, that's really not my thing. I don't like to play that often in that big of a group. But my spouse enjoys doing that. That gives them time to do their own thing, have their own identity separate from me. Now, I do meet their friends, their card friends, and we might do something together, but we don't have that constant social interaction that they have developed playing cards. And I think that's important. Myself, I enjoy playing pickleball. That is something we do together, as I mentioned before in a previous video, but it's also an opportunity to talk to others separately because as you're playing, you're mixing up who you're playing with, who your partner is, and who you're playing against. So it's an interaction you can have separate and with your partner. So that's something we kind of do together, but we also have a separate social interaction because we're not together the whole time we're playing. So again, that's important to have that individual friendships, individual time. And then when we get back together, we talk about, what happened at cards, what happened during pickleball, maybe having lunch with a friend. I have sisters here in town, And we have a monthly sisters happy hour where we get together without our spouses and we enjoy having lunch and talking for a couple hours, sharing what's going on with our lives, sharing about our grandchildren, about our spouses, good and bad, sharing information of how our relationships are going and what we can do to improve them, or just, just talking in general. And then we do that without our spouses, but then we also get together with our spouses at a separate time. So that individual reaction, that time away, that time to just communicate with others is important in a relationship, in maintaining the relationship. Now, I don't profess to know a lot about relationships. This is my one and only marriage. But I can tell you that my spouse and I have identified and agreed that making our marriage work is a decision that we make every day. It's a decision that we say we are staying married, divorce is not an option, and that we are both willing to put the time and the work and the effort into keeping our marriage strong and sustainable. Now, that can be hard. It's not easy at all. In fact, just for an example, I had knee replacement surgery. And because of that type of surgery, I was relying on my spouse to be my caregiver. And that's hard for someone that's not used to being a caregiver. But they were gracious. They did the best they could, and they were great. But 3 months into it, we had to have a hard conversation about things I needed to change. That maybe I wasn't putting the effort in to get better through physical therapy, or get off the medications, or be more mobile. And it was a hard conversation for us to have. And at first you get defensive, like, I just had surgery. Why are you attacking me? But the truth is, you take time to process that information. You have to hear them without being defensive. Hear them. You have to process it. And then you come to a conclusion of what you need to do to keep your relationship strong. And like I said, that was hard for me to come to the realization that I was in a slump. I was in a depression because I was not mobile. I'm confined to my room, trying to recover. Basically, I was just getting up, going to physical therapy, coming back every couple hours, doing more physical therapy at home, and taking the medication for the pain. And you have to realize that you might be in a slump and you're not yourself. And like I said, that wasn't easy for me to see that and accept that, but I don't think it was easy for my spouse to have that conversation with me either. And you have to be strong enough to have that conversation, but you have to be strong enough to hear it. So I had to push myself to come out of the funk that I was in, the rut I was in, and to realize that this was not my new norm. I needed to get back to who I was before the surgery. And that was a decision I made every day. Every day I woke up, I had to tell myself, I'm going to do these things today, even though it's painful, or it's just not comfortable. I had to walk. I had to try different things, riding a bike, a stationary bike, walking on the treadmill, and force myself, even though I was tired and in pain, that I needed to do these things to get back to who I was. And I owed that to myself, but I owed it to my marriage as well. So those are decisions that you make every day to make your marriage strong and keep it going. Keep an open line of communication. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I have a friend who, after 10 years, her relationship broke up. And I remember she said to me, she's in her 60s, I didn't think this would be my life. I didn't think I'd be 60 and be single and starting over again. And that was really hard for her. And all I could do as a friend is listen to her and try to help her through the situation. And it took her about I would say a year before she finally got a new groove going and realized that she can be good as a solo. And she got involved in different things. She likes playing poker, so she was playing poker. Made a group of friends, male and female. Had interactions. Found a really good friend that became her best friend. They like to hike together, and that was important for them to develop that friendship. And her friend was married, and she is now a new solo. But it gave her somebody to talk to besides me of how their relationship is working and what do you do to make your relationship work. And maybe when you decide that it's over, because every relationship takes two people at least. And, not counting kids and things like that, just a couple. You both have to work on it. You both have to make the decision that it's important. If only one of you is willing to work on it, like my friend, and her partner said, no, this is me. I'm not, take it or leave it. And she had to make the decision to leave it. And that was hard. It was a tough decision. It was tough on her emotionally, but it was also tough financially. And it was tough because you learn to count on that person. And now they're not there and they're not willing to hear you and work on things. So it takes two people. If only one of you is willing to work on it, you need to make that decision that, is it worth staying in it if you're putting in the effort and they're not? It's a personal decision. Nobody should be telling you to leave or to stay. It should be something you make from your heart, a decision you make in your heart. Is this something that you're willing to do? Are you happy? And to be honest with you, she was very happy in the relationship, but she is so happy right now. It's just so wonderful to see her thriving and see the joy she found in life again, and you can see it on her face. You can see it in her eyes. And as a solo, she's thriving, and solos thrive. You don't need that partner if that partner's not adding to your life. And if they're not willing to work on your relationship, and your life may change drastically without that partner, but you can still find happiness like she did. But also you got to make the decision, is it worth working on? In my relationship, we are committed to putting in the time and the effort, open communication, and to keep our relationship strong. And we have ups and downs. Every couple does. We have arguments, disagreements. We've gone where we had to end the conversation and just go off by ourselves. But you have to make the decision that it's important to you. And maybe you need to go by yourself and process what you've heard, what you've said, how you feel, and then come back to the conversation. And that's okay to say, we need to stop talking right now. I need some time. Let's come back to this later. And we've done that. We've ended conversations, taken the time, come back and address it at a later time once we've processed ourselves how we feel. And my partner, trying to honor their privacy because they don't wish to be part of this channel, but I want to be as transparent as possible too. They don't communicate as well their feelings. And so a lot of times my partner will say, okay, let's stop this. Give me some time and we'll come back. And me, I'm like, I got my feelings there. I'm ready to go. I know what I want to say, but that's not how my partner is. So we often have to stop and come back later. And that gives them time to comprise what they want to say, compose what they want to say, and say it more meaningful than if they just said it on the fly. So, and that's good to recognize that. And you have to recognize what your partner needs in order to keep the communication channel going. It's important to hear them, to understand them, but also it's important that they hear you and understand you. And like I said, that's something that it's an individual thing. Everybody has to make their own decision, whether it's worth staying in a relationship or not. It's sad to me that the divorce rates have doubled and tripled as they have for our age range. But it's understandable too. I mean, all of a sudden you're spending more time with this person that you didn't before. And maybe you think, I've got another 20 years to live. And do I want to live this way? And 20 years is a long time to not be happy. But again, you have to make that decision on your own. And everyone's different. We have a lot of friends here that are couples, and we have some solos that we hang out with. And we have couples and solos that get together as a group, and we go and do things together. And they're just as happy being alone. They're not any more happier than we are, and or less happier. And I admire that in them. I like to think that if I was in that situation, that I would thrive too. And I'm sure I would, but I don't want to at this point. I mean, I'm happy with my spouse. I feel loved. I feel appreciated. I know that together we do wonderful things. We have a wonderful family, a support group. We have our kids, our grandkids, and we enjoy spending time with our family. We enjoy spending time with our friends, but we enjoy spending times apart as well. We do travel together, the two of us, just me and my spouse, and that's the time where it's just us exploring new adventures. We recently went to Utah, and we just enjoyed each other's company as we were exploring Utah's national parks, and that's just something that we like to do together. But we also camp with our family. We'll go Memorial Day. We went camping with our family and spent some time together, and that's enjoyable as well. So again, we have to have alone time as partners, as a married couple, but you have to have alone time with just your friends or whatever your social thing is. It could just be a hobby. I enjoy doing stained glass. I could sit in my craft room and work on stained glass for hours and not be talking to anybody, but I enjoy that, and that's good for me, and it cleanses my soul. It's my peaceful time. Just like being outdoors, I enjoy hiking, walking outdoors, just seeing nature. But you got to find those things that make you happy in life. And if your partner doesn't like to do it on your own. Do it with friends. Find a group that likes to do it. But then you have to have that time where you come back together too to nurture that relationship. But I don't think. Not everybody can be together 24/7. There are couples that are and enjoy it and thrive. And again, that's an individual choice. That's not where I am. My spouse and I enjoy our time apart, but enjoy our time together as well. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about that gray divorce. It's not the end of it all. It can be a new beginning for some people, but it's also something that you need to work on if you don't want to be another statistic in gray divorce. It takes time, it takes effort, and it's a decision. It's a decision you make every day. So leave in the comments where you are in your life, your retired life. Are you single, solo, or are you married? And maybe what are some of the things you did as a solo to get back in your groove, or some things that you do as a married couple to keep your marriage strong and sustainable. I think we can learn from each other and put in the comments maybe some tips or questions you may have that other people can answer as well, and just keep the conversation going. So anyways, I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope to make a video at least once a week. I was out for 10 days with this cold, so again, please forgive my voice, but it's great getting together and talking and having these conversations. So I hope you all have a great day.